This is Nanti Zongo, where changing weather is not just changing the land, it is changing lives. This is Kojo Boidi. He once grew maize on 30 acres of land, but now his crops have withered under the burning sun. The lack of rainfall has resulted in the maize failing to grow due to the excessive heat, rendering all our efforts futile. He says he loses over 60,000 cedis every season. That is enough money to build a small house, but all he has now is dry land. 600 million. Sometimes I spend nearly 60,000 cedis, yet we derive no benefits from the farming. By now, we should be reaping the harvest and would have had a substantial crop of maize. When maize was sown on this land, it produced a bountiful yield. However, as you can see, there is nothing here. This has been the situation consistently. Aisha Al-Hassan also gave up farming after losing her crops again and again.
Due to the bad weather, our okra did not yield. The sun damaged the plants, resulting in losses.
Scientists say what is happening in Nanti Zongo is part of a bigger problem called global warming. When people burn petrol, diesel or coal, they release gases that trap heat around the earth. These gases are called greenhouse gases. That trapped heat makes the planet hotter. The rains don't come like before. Rivers dry up. And farmers like Kojo and Aisha suffer the most.
I have been farming in this community for about 17 years. I used to harvest around 10 bags, but now the land is no longer fertile. The rains have become unstable and you are lucky to get even 4 bags. Last year and this year, we couldn't harvest anything. If you invest your money in farming now, it's unlikely to yield any returns.
The United Nations says Africa contributes less than 4% of global emissions, yet faces the worst climate impacts, drought, floods, and food shortages. Ghana's own climate plan under the Paris Agreement, known as its Nationally Determined Contributions (NDCs), commits to supporting farmers with drought-resistant crops, better irrigation, and early warning systems. But in places like Nanti Zongo, these plans have not yet reached the ground.
Just see what has yielded. When you peel it, you won't see any grains.
Because of the impacts of the changing weather patterns, many young people from Nanti Zongo are leaving. Experts call them climate migrants, not that they are running away from war, but from hunger. In Kumasi, many now work as pragia riders. They say it is hard, but better than watching their crops die. Nanji Ibrahim is one of them.
We are farming with my brothers. Before we are farming like 10 to 13 acres with hoe. But after the end of the season, we get more yield. We get maybe at times 13 trips of butters. But now later you farm and suffer, you do everything. So at the end of the year, you will not even get a food trip. So with these things was hard for us. So we have to leave the place. And there was no raining like before. Before you know the time it will rain, that you prepare for your farming season. But later it wasn't like that. So all of us have to leave the place. So if you go back to Zongo, it's like there wasn't anybody there.
Experts warn that without help, more people will abandon their homes. By 2050, over 80 million people in Africa could move because of droughts and floods. Dr. Stephen Yabua is a senior research scientist at the CSIR Crops Research Institute.
First, you talk about crop failures, you talk about livestock losses, you talk about loss of income and then loss of livelihood. Because their farms have become very vulnerable, it's causing a lot of youth migration. what I term as climate-induced migration. You have a lot of youth moving away from the rural communities where agriculture is the most dominant activity, and they're migrating to the urban cities to find jobs. So there is a lot of youth migration. Those who decide to stay live in abject poverty because they have a longer period within the year where they don't undertake any economic activity.
He says there are solutions.
Traditionally, we do demonstration as a way of scaling, but that hasn't helped. The one-off demonstration hasn't helped. So now we will advocate for something like a business delivery model, a model where you create market. There is a market pool in the system. For example, you develop a model to deliver the climate smart innovation, which includes something like mechanization service providers, and then which also includes something like input or other service providers, your credit vouchers. You develop a business around the climate smart agriculture intervention that you want to deploy, so that it becomes very encouraging and very interesting to the youth. Another thing we can talk about is to create opportunities for the youth in the deployment of the climate smart agriculture intervention, and that we can also do that through public-private partnership. Public-private partnership is very important in creating a very good enabling environment for us to create a business around the climate smart agriculture intervention, so that it will attract the youth into it. So government provides the enabling environment, the private sector comes in, there is insurance, there is market access, there are digital platforms. This can be taken up by the private sector. When there is insurance, there is digital platform, there is access to credit, all led by the private sector. It will reduce the risk.
Elders like Abubakar Idi and Kadir have farmed in Nanti Zongo for more than 40 years, but their children have all left for the cities.
I have 7 children who have departed for urban areas in search of employment opportunities. My friend has 6 children who have also relocated from the community. It is just us and the children who are unable to even run errands for us. It is imperative that we continue farming, as it is a tradition passed down from our ancestors and a practice we have inherited. Ceasing to farm is not an opinion for us. Should we receive assistance, even in a modest capacity, it will be greatly appreciated.
The silence is painful. The land that once fed them is now a reminder of what has been lost. The people say they are not giving up, but they need help. They dream of the day when the rains will return, the farms will grow again, and no young person will have to leave home to survive. For now, they wait between hope and the dry wind. This is a Joy News CDKN University of Ghana C3SS project with funding from Clear R4I Opportunities Fund. A report by Mohamed Nuruddin.
Abrono kapese
This story is brought to you by JoyNews in partnership with CDKN Ghana, University of Ghana Center for Climate Change and Sustainability Studies, with funding from Clear R4I Opportunities Fund.